Well, I'm Debi Varvi. I'm the Henna Crone. The old woman of the henna. I've always been drawing, though. I've always drawn. My earliest memories are of drawing. And so the henna really speaks to that with me. It's all about the line work. So I really like that aspect.
So the designs we're looking at today, you call them fish, fowl and FrankenFlower?
Mm-hmm.
How did that come about?
Well, these are not necessarily traditional style designs. And the FrankenFlower actually came about because a friend of mine injured her finger and called it FrankenFinger. I loved that. And so I was like, and I love alliteration, so FrankenFlower was not a far jump to do the FrankenFlower. And that's essentially what they are. They're just flowers that, I mean, traditional Mendi flowers are various petals that are put together to create a Mendi flower. It's not a botanically correct flower, it's just a pretty flower. And so you'll have those little coronet petals paired with just like fluffy petals, or paired with those round petals with the points, or paired with whatever you're feeling at that moment. So it is kind of like a Frankensteinian flower. It's just a flower that's created from various bits and pieces to create a whole. And it wasn't a far reach to say Frankenfish and FrankenFowl and yeah, I love alliteration. I'm kind of silly that way. I just kind of like it. It's kind of fun. And that's essentially what these are. These are just creatures created from flowers and petals and paisleys and loops and lines, and they're not, it's not anatomy, it's just art. So it kind of suits it. It kind of works. And it's fun and it's whimsical. And I love whimsical in my art. It's one of my main themes.
How did you end up getting into henna?
Oh, I found a book. Actually, no, it was the book, but we, a bunch of us girls, my friends and their friends of friends, spent a day in Little India near LA, and we were doing some shopping, and one of the girls was from Iraq. I think she was from Iraq. And we wanted to buy some really beautiful salwar suits. I was going on a cruise. I didn't want to wear the traditional spaghetti strap thing. I wanted to be more exotic and elegant. And we have a lot of Indian communities here in the Southland. And I've always loved the way the Indian women look in their traditional dress. It's so feminine and so elegant and so exotic, and yet looks so comfortable. And so we came up with the idea to go down to LA, or actually it's Artesia, and go to this Little India area and just have a girls' day out. And so each shop was more beautiful than the last and more glorious and exciting, and we looked at beautiful saris and cholis and salwar suits, and we were just having a wonderful day. We had a great Indian lunch, and we of course saw the hair salons. And in the windows, along with all the hairstyles that, you know, they were trying to entice you to come in and get, there were hands with wedding henna designs done on them. And they were so beautiful. We had no idea what we were looking at. But the woman from Iraq knew. And she explained it to us about some of the traditions and how it was a plant. And it was really beautiful. And how it's a blessing. And we were all enthralled. Most of us were artists. And we really wanted to get it done, but we had so much shopping to do, and she did say it's kind of a messy prospect, and you have to keep the paste undisturbed and to get a really good result. And so we decided to do it last before we left, and then we were so tired that we opted for chai tea instead and never got our henna done. So soon after that, like, I went on my cruise and I came back, and about within 3 months I saw the book in a beautiful display in one of the shop windows by where I live downtown. And it was beautiful Indian fabrics and pillows and table runners with all that beautiful metal embroidery. And the colors were so delicious. And it was a book, Henna Head to Toe. Can't remember the author, but that was the book, Henna Head to Toe. It was a nice little primer on henna. And it was just part of the display, because I went in to ask the woman about it, and she sold me the book right out of the display. And I took it home. It was a really easy read, and I love a messy project. It sounded nice and messy. And so I lent it to my friend Valerie, who had gone on the trip with us, and she's like, oh, yeah, we could do this. It was just like a recipe. And it was really great. It had henna for hair and a little tradition from some of the various regions where henna is practiced. And it also went into some of the other beauty practices that are done with henna, some of the medicinal applications. And it deconstructed and reconstructed a few designs. It had some recipes. And so you were kind of ready to go with just this one book. And so when Valerie got done reading it, we went over to the little India grocery store that always smells so delightful and got ourselves a little lunch at their deli counter, and then bought a really old box. It probably was Jamila powder, I don't even remember. But the little Indian man assured us it was Mehndi henna, not for hair, only for skin. And it was probably on that shelf for forever. And who knows how long it was in the warehouse. Who knows how fresh it was. It was probably not very fresh at all. But it stained. We made a huge mess in her kitchen because it's baby powder fine. And it's like green baby powder. And oh my God, it was everywhere. And we didn't know what we were doing. And we had some lemon juice and we mixed it all up. And we left it overnight, and the next day we were just sticking our fingers in it and smooshing it around, and it had a little orange stain. And it was like my first hit of crack. It was it. That was all she wrote. That was all she wrote. I was like, oh my God, it works. I mean, look, it was like a stain like this. That was all it was. And not even that bright. And I was like, oh my God.
Did you plan to get into teaching it, or did it just kind of happen?
No. I just saw it as a fun, messy project. I had no idea that it would ever become a business. I've always done art. I've made masks. I've dabbled a little in jewelry making. I've drawn all my life. I've painted. I've just, always done art. And I just thought, well, this is another crazy, messy project that I'll have fun with. And maybe it'll fade. Like, you make masks and then you have nothing else to say, and you drop it, and then you pick up something else. And then you go back to mask making. And this time, instead of feather masks, you make paper mache masks or whatever. Whenever, I had something new to say, I would pick it back up again. And so I thought this would be no different. This would just be something fun to do until I got tired of it. But it just kind of fed on itself. It was an obsession almost from right out of the gate. And I just couldn't stop. And it was kind of insane. Everybody kind of thought I was insane. And it was to the point where my daughter was already grown and out of the house. And my poor friend's daughter was still at home. And so she was our victim. She and her friends were our guinea pigs. To the point where she finally said, Mama, my friends won't come over anymore. You won't leave us alone. You and Debbie just keep wanting to henna us, and we're kind of done. We're over it. Please leave us alone. And we were just like dumbfounded. Oh my God, really? You don't want henna? What do you mean you don't want henna? What are we going to do? So I would cover my breakfast bar with napkins covered in henna. And whatever empty skin I could reach was covered in henna. And yeah, my family thought, oh God, she really truly has lost it this time. I mean, we always thought the masks were crazy. And we always thought the weird jewelry and the bone stuff that she was doing was crazy. And the macrame. But this takes the cake. And if anybody had said to me even then, you know what, you really kind of should like set up a booth in the street and draw on people for money, I would have thought, yeah, no, you really are on crack. That's dumb. Who would pay for this? But somebody finally did tell me, oh no, down at Venice Beach, there's 1 million henna artists, and they get good money, and you can do this for money. And it took me a little while to wrap my mind around that, but once I did, wow, yeah, I was excited. Because the idea of making money using some skills that I had was nirvana. That was nirvana to me. And I knew that this was just not getting old. I just kept doing it and loving it more. It was kind of crazy.
What got you starting teaching other people?
Well, that was kind of organic too. Everything about this business has been very organic. I mean, I never had a plan. And I think it came after I finally got myself a computer, because I was kind of working in a vacuum. And when I got the computer and I started finding all these henna forums and henna sites and seeing what other people were doing and the beautiful traditional work they were doing, and I was doing henna at the markets and maybe 1 or 2 festivals, and nobody wanted what I wanted to do. They would look at the traditional design on my hand and say, isn't that beautiful? can you do Mickey Mouse? And I would go like get cultural whiplash. How did you make the leap from this gorgeous paisley design to Mickey Mouse? How do I do that? But then it started to interest me artistically, and it started to present a challenge to me, and I do like to make people happy more than I thought I ever would. And so I started to fuse the Western idea of beautiful design with the Eastern idea of beautiful design. And then when I got online and I didn't see too many people doing what I was doing, I got scared. I really thought, if I start posting pictures in these forums, they're going to wonder who I am, what am I doing, why am I doing this, and what do I think I'm doing? You know, you got to stop this. This is not henna, this is not Mendi, this is not traditional, this is not correct. And I really was kind of anxious about it and worried. And when I finally got the guts to post on a site that seemed really friendly and nice people on it, I was astonished that they really liked it. They really thought it was fresh and new, and they didn't hate it, and that was really cool. And I had already, without realizing it, developed my own kind of style. And people started asking, well, how did you do that? How did you do this? And I mean, to my eye, it looks pretty simple. It looks like, well, you start with a spiral, and then you just peel this off over here, and then you put a little thing over there, and that looks like a flower, but it's over here, and you just let it grow. And I just thought they looked at it and knew exactly how I went about it, because that's what you do. You look at the design, you deconstruct it, and then you reconstruct it. That's how you learn. So I thought they all knew how I was achieving these creatures. You know, I just thought they knew. That's almost the paisley. I kind of opened up the end, stuck a tail on there and another flower, and we were good to go. And yet they didn't. And so I started like trying to explain it verbally online. And I mean, sometimes it just looked like, wow, that just didn't make any freaking sense at all. How are they going to follow that? But it gave them enough information to follow, because they already knew a lot of these elements and a lot of how henna works. And so they're like, oh no, that's really helpful. That's really helpful. Now I understand why it has that shape, because they're seeing negative space. They're seeing things that I'm not seeing. And it was getting kind of confusing to them. So just like a lot of their bridal work was confusing the crap out of me, because I never get to do bridal work. And so there's a lot of sharing going on the internet, and that made me think that I had something to share. I had something that people seemed to be interested in. And then I found out about, henna retreats and conferences. And I couldn't believe it. I just thought it was the best idea anybody ever had. I mean, since sliced bread even, it was just awesome. And the first one I went to, wow, it was nirvana. It was crazy cool. And all these classes, and I finally understood how the rhythm of a bridal design and how to lay it out, and the elements of Moroccan, and all of the stuff that you just see and you're looking at it just like they were looking at my work going, I'm not quite sure what's happening here. But I see the individual triangles and dots and shapes, but how is it put together? How are they mapping it out? I think I would start here, but then I would get lost over there. And just all of that mechanics of creating the design, and then you're taking classes, and they're laying it out for you. And at the time I had done a design for my friend Bloom, a Day of the Dead design. We're in Southern California, so there's a lot of Day of the Dead motifs. And she had brought me a skull design, and I think they're beautiful. I've always loved them. Never dreamed of doing one in henna until she brought me the design, and she wanted an upper back piece done, which gave me lots of canvas to work on. And I was excited. So I more or less copied it onto her back, did a little bit of adjustment for the fact that I was working with henna, and I wanted to do some of the henna inspired motifs in there. And it turned out really super cool. I was really pleased. And I posted a picture of it, and everybody loved it. Everybody was like, wow, that never seen something like quite like that before. And so at the conference, one of the girls said, would you show us how to do that? And I had finally figured out the template for it. You start with the eyes, and then you do the nose, or the eye sockets, and then you do the nose socket, you make the bony brackets, and you do the upper jaw, and you do all of that stuff, and then you do the dome of the head, and it all falls together pretty easily, and I was all excited to share that. So I got up in front of the class, and I was kind of freaked out that I was actually teaching something, but it kind of went well. I let them ask me a bunch of questions because I had not prepared anything. I didn't really know exactly what they wanted to know, so I was just like, okay, ask me what you want to know. And they asked me about the skull, and then they asked me about, I think think they asked me about the peacock, I'm not sure, or a bird or something. And so I did a quick hour class and showed them what they wanted to know, and I was really terrified I was going to scare and confuse the crap out of everyone, because my process is very organic. It's very organic. I mean, granted, I have a template and I work from the template, but it depends on what happens, whether or not I stick to the template. Every design is different, and at least a little bit. And then there's also the fact that I don't want to be bored, and I want to do something perhaps a little different each time. And so I may start with this template for the bird. Maybe I'll put a flower on the back this time. Maybe I'll get tired. I mean, sometimes I do the other row of feathers, but lately I've been doing the flower. I've kind of liked the way that looks. Just all kinds of different things can happen, and I like that. I like to be surprised. I like to be surprised. I don't want to be bored. I like to be surprised. So it's kind of hard to teach that because I don't really know. I mean, I don't break it down exactly in my own head. And in my own head, the thought process is a little bit scary. You know? I don't know if anybody really wants all that information. And but it worked well. And I just thought, I mean, I used to teach after-school art classes to the kids. And even though that was like a lot of anarchy and fun, the henna class went well. I was really surprised. I was really pleased. People started doing skulls. People were leaving doing pretty good skulls. That was really satisfying. That was really exciting. I really loved that part. That people were taking them, and then they were doing things with the skulls that I wouldn't have dreamed of doing. And then so I was getting to go home doing new things too, getting inspired and churned. And that's just like the best thing.
Do you have any recommendations on where to get supplies? What things to look out for?
Oh yeah, I always try to buy my supplies from reputable henna artists, because they have excellent reputations and they will do nothing to ruin those reputations. And they are using the henna that they are selling to me. And so Henna Caravan is right here in the Southland. They're totally, in fact, they're like a one-stop henna shop. And those girls provide not only really fresh, beautiful henna, and they have Rajasthani as well as Jamila powder and glitter and all kinds of supplies that you're going to need, but they also provide excellent support. You can contact them. They want you to do, in fact, all of the suppliers that I deal with want you to do really, really well. And you're not buying from India where you have to deal with customs and you have to deal with, you know, the shipping. You're buying from people who already ship, and they ship really, they already purchased the really fresh henna powder from India. They're doing all the hard work for you, and then they're passing on their experience and knowledge to you. And it's really generous and it's really awesome. So there's the Henna Caravan girls at hennacaravan.com. There's Darcy up in San Francisco, Henna Lounge, hennalounge.com. She's tremendous. And then there's also Khadijah Henna Souk out on the East Coast. She's in Maryland. And not only does Khadijah have beautiful henna, but she also has really great products, natural products for your hair and your skin, and yeah, so she's really awesome too. All of these people provide wonderful support. You can ask them anything. They never make you feel like, you know, you're bothering them, or, you know, they don't want to tell you any secrets, which is a load of crap. I mean, well, that was kind of strong, wasn't it? Sorry. It's a 5,000 and 10,000-year-old art form. We are not inventing anything here. A lot of very creative women came before us. Not the first one, I'm sure, to ever use molasses. That's ridiculous to think of that. And so, I mean, this craft secret stuff kind of gets under my skin. Sorry. But yeah, they believe in that you should do well. They know it's good for all of us if we all do well. And they subscribe to the theory of abundance and all that good stuff. So I highly recommend all of them. I really do. There's even Kenzie up in New York. She sells henna. Although I'm not sure if her, I think she's still selling. I think she's still selling henna. But yeah, especially the Henna Caravan girls, Darcy and Khadijah. Darcy of Henna Lounge, Khadijah of Henna Souk. Fabulous people.
You mentioned earlier about the festivals, the conventions and stuff. It seems to me, having discovered this world fairly recently, that, you know, I heard about one, and then all of a sudden there's like 5 dozen all
Yeah.
over the place. They really seem to be cropping up everywhere. I mean,
There, you know what? There was a thread about that recently, and I honestly think because it's just a natural answer to a need. There are more henna artists than ever before, and I think that's just. I'm sorry, I just think that's so freaking tremendous. The more henna, I've seen it in my own business. The more people we can make happy with beautiful henna, fresh henna, always staining henna, the more quickly and exponentially our businesses grow. And so, people, not with the internet, people really want to do beautiful henna. They see so much more beautiful. I mean, I know for myself, just having the internet, the amount of inspiration, the amount of information, the amount of great tips and tricks, and the availability of various resources for powder and supplies has only improved my learning and my product 100-fold. It's incalculable. And I feel the same way about the conferences and retreats. I think everybody who actually does a conference or a retreat, they're filling a need that they see. And not everybody can travel. I mean, we're all artists. Come on, we're all starving artists. And, I mean, we do our own retreat because we had a vision. They do a great retreat, and we want to do this type of retreat. We want to do it a little differently and address this. We want to do ours. Not that everybody doesn't do henna as art, but that was what we really wanted to focus on. And we had our own little vision, and we wanted to serve it. And people responded beautifully. I think there's room for all. I honestly do. I think there's room for all. Everybody has their own take on it. It's exceptionally, the way you do your henna, the way you run your business, it's all an extension of your self-expression. It's an extension of your art. And so there is something to be learned from every body and every event. I think you should attend them all. You really should. You should attend as many as you can, because you learn so much. I just did Khadijah's out in Maryland, and oh my God, I got to take Darcy's classes. It was fantastic. I wish I could have taken more classes, but I was teaching, so I was only able to take what I had time for. And you're never done. That's the part of the beauty of it. There's always something new to learn. There's always some new way, from a technical trick to an aesthetic way of putting things together, that is just so enriching and exciting and mind-blowing that you just can't get enough. Why would you want it ever to be enough?
Do you think henna is something that anyone can learn to do, or do you need a basic level of artistic ability?
I do think it's something anyone can learn to do. It's a folk art. Most henna artists in the old countries, in India, Morocco, in the Sudan, they do this the way we do each other's hair and nails. You don't necessarily have to be an artist to do hair, or a hairdresser to do a beautiful French braid. You just have to have the desire to make a pretty French braid. Same thing with the henna. Henna is essentially doodling. And henna is a very forgiving art form and really fun to mess around with. And yet, there is that Western business aesthetic. There really is. If you're paying for a service, granted, maybe your mother or grandmother make amazing tamales, and you're going to have your wedding reception in your brother's backyard because he has a gorgeous backyard, and you don't have a lot of money for a fabulous caterer, so you're going to spend money for fabulous flowers and get your grandmother and all your sisters and aunts and nieces to make her fabulous tamales, and you're going to pay her for the supplies and maybe a little for her time, and there's room for that in all things. But if you're going to offer professional services, it's very much a Western thing. You should have a certain level of skill. And granted, it is art, and art is relative. It's a subjective thing. Art is subjective. What you may think is beautiful, somebody else is like, it's not for me. I don't see myself wearing that. So, even so, your henna should be fresh. It should be beautifully mixed. You should arrive on time and in proper dress, even if it's like wild gypsy dress, because that's how you promote yourself. That's who I am. So if you hire me, you're getting the wild gypsy person, unless you request something specific. And you should be professional about it. I mean, I really do want henna to be viewed as a professional industry. I mean, you would not treat a caterer or a florist the way sometimes our henna artists get treated. We're treated almost as hobbyists, not professionals. And the amount, it's just everything has growing pains. And it's just part of our growing pains. And I think probably caterers went through it. I know belly dancers went through it. It's not just a hoochie coochie dance. You put in countless hours, hundreds, even thousands of dollars into your costuming, your makeup, your music. I mean, nobody knows the background of what it entails to be a professional belly dancer. They just think, oh yeah, my cousin takes Zumba, she'll come and dance at my party. Well, that's okay. But if you really want a fantastic, breathtaking, mind-blowing performance, you hire a professional and you pay her what she's worth. And that's what we're trying to do, I think, as a body, as henna artists. We are sharing our contract forms. We are sharing our experiences. We are sharing negotiating tips and tricks. And I mean, we're not price fixing or anything, but we're trying to come up with fair pricing commensurate with skill so that it is reflective of our industry. So, I mean, I really think we're going through some growing pains now, but I think for the most part, I've always been struck by how generous the people in this industry are. I really have. I've always been struck at how they're like, oh wow, have you tried molasses in your mix? You're gonna love it. Or have you tried, heating up your lemon sugar? It doesn't recrystallize. Did you know that? I mean, all of the things that they share that they don't consider a craft secret. Oh, I can't tell anybody. They'll steal my ideas. I've always thought that was small and shallow, and I don't find that very often at all in the henna community. I've always loved how they are so loving and giving and just tremendous, and I think we've all benefited tremendously from that really nurturing and supportive attitude, and I don't see any reason to change it. I don't see any reason at all to change it. It's been such a benefit. Why would you change what works?
Yeah. Amen.
Who's your favorite henna artist?
Oh my God, I have so many. You have no idea. There's Nick Tharpa-Cartier, whom I have the luxury of working with several times a year. Kenzie, Darcy is nuts. Oh my God, Luma, she's up in Canada, insane. Amelia in Poland, just her art is it's breathtaking. Rafat, who has done so much in London with henna and with her art, and I mean, there's too many. I know I'm forgetting people. Oh, Cree. Cree up in Seattle. People that there's so many amazing, brilliant, creative, mind-numbingly wonderful henna artists out there. You just can't believe it. You cannot believe it. Katana out in Hawaii with her Pan-Polynesian designs. Oh my God. Min in New Zealand, who does insane Pan-Polynesian designs. Victoria. Yeah, there's so many amazing henna artists out there. There's so many, and you just have to search for beautiful henna on Pinterest now and on the internet, on Facebook. You'll be blown out of the water. It's crazy gorgeous. We're just so freaking lucky. And people who are really pushing the outside of the creative envelope with henna. It's so much fun. It's so amazing. Oh, Kim Brennan. Oh, how could I have not mentioned Kim Brennan? She was a really big influence on me in my early days.
Does it surprise you when you come across a new artist who's obviously been inspired by your work?
Blows me away. Kind of freaks me out a little bit. It's pretty hilarious. Because what people forget is I'm trolling the web too, man. I am so hungry for new inspiration, and you can find it everywhere. It's so funny. People are like, I mean, certainly I am a stickler for really, you know, always wanting to push the envelope, never being satisfied with your skill level, always wanting to do more, always wanting to do better. I find it really frustrating when, I mean, granted, everybody has their desire, and I'm not saying that my idea of being an artist is better than anybody else's. There are those who find themselves with a certain amount of skill and they feel that it's enough. And that's going to have to be good. I mean, for me, I would never be satisfied with that. That's me. But there are those who like, okay, well, I've got a certain amount of skill, I'm good with this is fine, and I'm happy. I don't understand it, I don't get it, but it works for them. And who am I to say that there's no room for them? I think that's crap. There's room for everybody. And I just don't understand it. So, I mean, I can learn, though, from even the clumsiest henna artist. Everybody has their own little way of looking at things. And I think people have to remember that that's what all of us are hungry to see. I know what I do. I'm always serving my own vision. I'm always serving it. I'm always creating what I want to see. I want to see what you want to create. That's what I want to see. I always think that's the most fresh, the most exciting, the most thrilling thing. And even if it's, you know, a sweet, simple, maybe even a clumsy little henna design, there's always a little something in there. Oh, wow, why did you put those dots there? That's kind of cool. I would never have put the dots there. That's amazing. I got to try that next time. Or, look at the way she filled that leaf. Why would she have filled that? I would never have dreamed of filling that leaf with that stupid checkerboard. That looks fantastic. You know, that is amazing. I mean, I would have thought that was stupid if I just tried to imagine it in my head. But, oh my God, look how successful that is. So there's always something new to be learned. I mean, anytime you're feeding or serving your own inner vision, your own visual aesthetic, somebody's learning from it. Somebody's really happy to see it. That's what I always encourage people to try to do. Just find out what it is that you like, and then try to show the rest of us what you like. Somebody's bound to love it too. And maybe it's not even the thing that you love most about it. Maybe it's something that you don't necessarily think is very strong. There's always something there to see. There's always something there to like. Always something there to enjoy. Kind of a Napoleon, I guess. Kind of a little, sort of a lot.
What do you think is the most important piece of advice that you could give up-and-coming?
Oh my God, it's going to be so trite. Practice. Isn't so trite, but it's true. And practice what you love. Really, you can't say it enough. If you want to get good at anything, you need the muscle memory, and that only comes with repetition, and there it is. It's all practice. That stupid saying, practice makes perfect. There's nothing else that fixes that. I mean, you could take all of the classes in the world from the most brilliant teachers on the planet, and they can explain things to you in such a way that you're absorbing the information and categorizing it and cataloging it, and it's totally useful to you the minute you leave the class. But if you don't practice, it's just, I mean, what good is it? What good is it? You're not going to be able to use it. So just practice. And if you practice what you love, what you're most desirous of practicing, you'll practice a lot. And it won't be quite so tedious. And if it is tedious, then maybe you need something else to practice. You know? I mean, maybe henna on skin isn't your thing. You can henna drums. I mean, I know several artists whose drums are, and drums too. Drums and henna canvases and things, you can turn this as many ways as you want to and bring it closer and push it away. This is how, unless I can turn you on your head, flip your arm upside down, make you double jointed. This is the way I gotta work. So yeah, it's a little easier sometimes to work on henna crafts or inanimate objects. And sometimes I think some artists, maybe that's where they need to be. Maybe the henna on the skin is just too personal, too intimate, too freaky, too scary, too fraught with fear to be the amount of fun it really ought to be. You have to find what really makes you happy. My God, life is so freaking short. Seriously, you do not want to be on your deathbed going, oh, I'm so sorry I handed all those people with all their friggin' pesky breathing. I should have handed more drums. It's too late now. Or I should have painted, or I should have whatever. Just think, you know, you should do what you love. And, I mean, process over product any day of the week. I'm all about the process. The product will follow the process. And if you enjoy the process, the product follows even faster. So try to enjoy your process. Try to enjoy the learning curve, the whole experience. You gotta, I mean, I really do. I love everything. The way this feels, the way the henna comes out of the end of the cone, the way you can guide it and control it and play with it and push it and just, you know, every line. I love lines. I think that's one of the main reasons I like henna. I've always loved pen and ink drawing and you know, just graphite pencil drawing even. I've always loved drawing, and henna is all about drawing. So I think that's part of it too. I love the way you could follow the line down, and henna loves to draw. When you could drape a line and kind of just gently guide it and kind of already knows where it wants to go, it's kind of a weird feeling. It really is. It's kind of a weird feeling.
So henna really seems to be undergoing a kind of renaissance at the moment.
Totally.
Where do you see it going in the future?
Oh my God, I think the sky is the limit. I really do. I can't even begin to guess. I mean, people are doing designs in bleach on shirts.
Oh,
Reverse designs.
that's cool.
It's super cool. I mean, it's amazing the things that people are coming up with. People are doing, oh my gosh, they're doing portraits in henna. They're doing, like, you make a smear of henna on the skin and then you scrape out almost like a scratch pad. I mean, it's incredible what people are doing. Things that I'm just like, oh my God, how did you come up with that idea? And oh my God, it's just the things that they're doing are incredible. Some people, like Nick, is always looking for designs, and he's such an ethnographer, and you know, just naturally, he's always looking for more and more traditional designs. And then he takes them and he remains true to them and creates things that will just rock your monkey socks, man. It's just crazy. And then Darcy, with her bridal henna, traditional bridal henna for the Indian brides, was just, it was the love. It's so interesting. The criteria for beauty in that was every inch is covered with fine, tight lace designs. And Darcy introduced negative space and made these things too beautiful to express. I mean, just so stunningly gorgeous. All of a sudden, all of these elements become gorgeous in and of themselves, and the whole design has an amazing statement. It's just the most gorgeous statement. But she's had to struggle with the traditional, you know, the aunties and the brides, and she has been working so hard retraining and re-educating their eyes to a more, I don't know if it's a Western artistic aesthetic or just an artistic aesthetic. And with, you know, with the negative space being so elegant and gorgeous. And she's just, I mean, there's nothing like it. It's so frigging beautiful. There's things that, you know, are happening out there. I just can't keep up. I cannot keep up. So I just kind of keep on chugging along, doing what I'm doing. If I do, you know, something interesting, I keep getting inspired by these people. Oh my God. Amelia, who brings this Russian folktale craziness to her art. And it all fuses so seamlessly, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how seamlessly it fuses.
Gives us plenty to be going on.
Sweet.
So I'll just let you finish that.
question?
Of course.
Where do you draw your inspiration from?
Everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. I see now henna patterns in freaking everything. I have almost a library of Dover design books, everything from art designs in nature to one of my most favorite recent acquisitions is Egyptian motifs in the Art Deco style. There is not a bad page in that whole freaking book. And then my butterflies came from the Dover Chinese butterfly book. Totally released me from the traditional idea of what butterflies should look like. And then there's just, I cut pictures out of magazines, National Geographics, cloth. Oh, Pinterest is now the new internet crack. I resisted for so long, but now I'm glad I didn't resist. It's a great way to organize your inspirational photos that you come across on the net, on the web, and articles and things like that of creative nature that, maybe have nothing to do with henna, but you can apply in your own studies and your own, always looking for something fresh. I mean, the cornet flower is gorgeous and we all use it, but okay, enough already. Let's do something else. What do you think?
I think it's beautiful.
Are we happy?
It's just gorgeous.
There's another peacock.
It's making me. It is beautiful.
Kind of wraps. Do a little flower over here. These things. I could take a class from Darcy on negative space. I tend to see it and go, oh, let's feel it.
What will this look like when the henna gets flaked off?
Oh, good question. The henna is a two-part process. Right now is the first part. Both parts are equally important. The first part is you're getting stain from the paste. Fresh, beautiful henna paste that I'm applying to your skin. Look at my hands. It's already staining your skin. To get the stain to last a long time and to be very dark, you have to leave the paste on a minimum of 4 to 6 hours. It's not enough just to leave the paste on. Also want to keep the paste moist. So that's why we do the lemon juice and sugar dabbing. That keeps the paste stuck, moist, hydrated, and staining. So once you've left it on all night, maybe you've covered it, you made it nice and sticky, covered it with a little cotton. Woke up the next morning, you're like, done, I want this off my skin. You take some cooking oil, because the second part of the process is the darkening process. When you first remove the paste, the stain is, depending upon where it's at, on the arm here, it may be a very disappointing orange color, very light. And an uninitiated, first-time henna customer, I always tell them, you're going to hate me. You're going to be like, bitch, took my money. This did not take. But once you have that orange stain, it's incredible how dark it will get. And the darkening process is an oxidation process. You've removed the paste, and now oxygen is hitting that stain. It's going to help it to bond to the keratin in your skin, and just like rust gets darker, it's going to get darker. And water inhibits that action. Water is the enemy of fresh henna stain. So that's why you remove the paste with some kind of cooking oil. I like the cooking oils from the kitchen because petroleum-based oils like baby oil and stuff are already very drying and just not natural and not necessarily that good for your skin. If that's all you have, then okay, go ahead and use that. But preferably you have something like olive oil or canola oil or even corn oil in your kitchen. That'll work great. It takes a little more effort. Water would take it all off in a heartbeat. Oil is going to be a little more troublesome. But you'd stand with your arm over the sink. You'd have a nice puddle of oil in your hand, smear it over the henna, have paper towels ready, scrub, 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 and then continue the process until all the residue is gone. And all you see is that shiny little light orange stain. And then you forget about it. Don't get it wet, don't touch it, just leave it alone. You could touch it, it won't hurt anything, but just forget about it. Leave it alone. And it's kind of like watching grass grow. by the end of the day, you'll be like, I think it's darker. I think it's quite a bit darker. Or maybe I'm just wishing it darker. The next morning, you'll wake up and you'll be like, oh my God, look at it. What happened? Look how dark it got. And then the next day, you are going to love me because it's going to be so freaking dark that you won't believe that it was ever that light. And so the darkening process takes at least 48 hours, sometimes a little longer. And so for the first, I'd say 8 to 12 hours, always longer is better with henna. Don't let it get wet.